Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Brothers-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police-involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those police officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We also look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on, would their situation had turned out differently. Now, you may agree or disagree with us, but by the end of the video, it is our hope that you get a better understanding of how these incidents unfold. So if you're new to our channel, my name is Corey, and I'm a former Virginia State Trooper of 7 years, and I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer of 21 years. And my co-host tonight is Mr. Michael Bradley. What's up?
Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you guys joining us. Hey, Stacy, I see you. Jesus loves you. I see you on here. We got a good one lined up. I'm Mike Bradley. I'm the co-host of this show. 26-year police officer, veteran, retired in Northern California, and also a 6-year Army veteran. So good to see you guys. We got a good show lined up for you where, you know, it's like one of those things, Corey, you never know on a traffic stop what could happen, or don't take someone's age for granted just because they look like an old lady.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a discussion about that because we got a video for you of an incident that happened. And so buckle up.
Yeah. And before we get into it, as always, if you're just checking us out for the first time, please go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us. We greatly appreciate it. Get us out there on the social media platforms, on everybody's timeline, so we can spread our message of staying calm, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. Also, check us out. Want to help support our channel? Come on over to our merchandise shop at brothersinlaw.mysprayshop.com and get you a nice little t-shirt to help support the channel. Brothers-in-law podcast. Stay calm with the Stay Calm acronym on the back. And got a good one lined up. This one is called, Even Grandma Can Be a Threat to the Police. You think she can't? Well, you'll see. And like Mike said in the opening, everyone is a threat until we assume that they're no longer a threat.
Yeah.
What that means is until I can finish my investigation or I determine that you're no longer a threat, then you're no longer a threat. But up until that point, I'm going to assume that you have a weapon on you and that you're a threat. Now, I don't care how old you are, from a teenager all the way up to 99 years old. You're going to be a threat until I deem otherwise.
Sometimes I will say, and I'm probably guilty of this later on in my career, sometimes you get a little too relaxed. You assume things, certain people might approach you in a way that causes you to let your guard down. As a police officer, we both know, Corey, as officers as we were, we both know you should never let your guard down. You can't get complacent. You can't get lazy. You can't let someone's demeanor let your guard down to a point where you're unsafe.
Right.
Now, in this video we getting ready to show, this is a lady that came across it. You wouldn't think that she was doing some of the things that she was doing. I mean, you you don't know what's going on with her. But the fact that she's old, don't let someone's appearance and age and even sex, male or female, make you think that, you can let your guard down and let your officer safety go out the window, because that's not the case at all.
No. So we'll go ahead and get into it. It's a very short video, 3.5 minutes, I think it is. But I think the big takeaway is going to be at the end of the video when you hear the outcome of what happened when she appeared in court. So that's going to be the big one right there. So hey, Delando, welcome. Hey, good to see you. Jesus love you. Glad you can make it tonight, brother. Mike, go ahead and set it up and let it rip.
Okay. Now, this happened in November 6th, 2021. Just to set it up real quick, this officer sees some driving actions from this driver in this white car that you see. Okay. And, is it a DUI? Is it just a lady that doesn't know how to drive? It's her job to stop this person and find out what's going on. That's basically what happens. She drives down a closed construction lane at one point. Just some kind of odd driving that makes her, want to figure out what's going on. So we're gonna start this up real quick. This is probably about a 7-minute video or
7 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. And as usual, if we get to a point where we're gonna critique right then and there, I'll stop the video and we can do that and then continue on. So here we go.
2021 at approximately 11:20 p.m., Lieutenant Frankfurth of the Minnesota State Patrol spotted someone driving erratically and straddling the skip stripe as it approached a construction zone. When the vehicle pulled into a closed lane of traffic, no one could have been prepared for what would unfold.
Arrived in the ER with a gunshot wound to his leg.
What are you doing?
Reporting that as a
What are you doing?
I'm trying to find my way out.
Out of where?
Out of here?
Okay, this is a one-way.
Yeah, but do I go down
Go
this
ahead.
lane or that lane?
Note here that the driver asked if she should drive down the lane closed by construction.
Well, this is a one-way.
This is a one-way?
Negative. Who's it on?
This is a one-way?
Yeah. Do you have your driver's license on you?
Gene and Hansen.
Okay, just stand by. Oh, just wait here. Do you have your driver's license?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on out here. Where are you going? Where are you trying to go tonight?
Hardee's?
To Hardee's?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you were about to turn on me you know what I mean? Like you're going to go the wrong way because you probably were trying to cross over there.
Right.
Yeah. And then when you came over here, you're driving down 2 lanes, down the skip stripe.
Yeah,
And the other driver is kind of like, what are you doing? And then you pull over in the construction area.
yeah, the construction area was perplexing.
Okay. All right. Can you come over here for a second? Yeah. Do you have anything on you? Anything sharp? Any weapons or anything?
Nope.
Okay. You just
Let me pause it real quick. I don't want to get too crazy with the pause button, but I think our viewers might have missed this in the beginning. The dispatcher came back on the radio and said that there was a warrant from this associated with this car and the driver. So this officer already understands that this driver has a warrant. Okay. Now she didn't tell this driver this yet, obviously, but that's what's in the officer's mind, that she knows that this person has a warrant and this could be more than what she bargained for. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
just come over here for me.
Sure.
Where are you coming from tonight?
Minneapolis?
Minneapolis? Is that where you live or? Yeah. Okay. No, nothing in. Oh, okay. I thought I felt a wallet or something.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a seat in my back car?
Well, I don't want to see near back car.
So this is the deal. I just ran this license plate and something came back, so I got to figure it out. So I'm just going to put you back here until I can figure it out. Okay.
Can I shut my?
I will take. We're not going. No, we're not going to go anywhere yet. Let's just stay here and we're just going to figure out what's going on. And then
Why did they run my license plate?
I ran it when I made a traffic stop. So let's just go stay here back here for right now.
Let me
Okay.
shut it off.
Nope. I don't want you to go back in the car. Okay, ma'am.
No, that's all
Ma'am.
I have to do.
Ma'am, I don't want you. No, ma'am.
Wait a minute.
You're not allowed to come in here.
Why?
No. Stay out of the car.
Let me.
Stay, ma'am. Do not get in that car. No. Don't.
A second camera angle from a nearby traffic camera captures what has Officer Frankfurth so startled.
No, that's all I have to do.
Ma'am, I don't want you. No, ma'am.
Wait a minute.
You're not allowed to come in here.
Why?
No. Stay out of the car.
Let me.
Stay, ma'am. Do not get in that car. No. Don't.
The suspect, later identified as 70-year-old Gene Ann Hansen, brandishes what appears to be a silver handgun and points it directly at Lieutenant Frankfurth.
No. She got a gun. She just pointed a gun at me, took off, charged Hardee's. I got a St. Paul officer with me.
Copy that. She pointed a gun at you and took off. Are you going to pursue her?
Negative, I don't see where she went.
Go play back the camera, see where she went.
She pointed a gun at me. I don't know. They're trying to look on camera. She had a warrant.
She went north on Hamlin. I don't know if she went back on St. Anthony. She said she was headed to Hargey's. I got in my car right away. I think she went north of Hamlin.
According to the Human Performance Resources by CHAMP, tactical breathing is a method of using your breath to change how you feel physically and emotionally, to focus your attention and improve your performance. Here, Officer Frankfurt does exactly this. She slows her breathing down in order to maintain composure. This in turn allows her to provide dispatch with updates as to the suspect's potential whereabouts.
Metro slide up.
Like, advice
Looks like he's on stop. I'll go and check on him.
for East Metro. Lieutenant just got a gun pointed at her and the vehicle took off.
She said she was going to Hardee's, but she's not around here.
The first on scene to assist was the elected sheriff of Ramsey County, Bob Fletcher, who has grown to prominence for his live on patrol live streams.
They're in the air. They're going to search the area. What's happening with contact on Moise? Search.
I don't know if it was real, but she went over and she grabbed it and she pointed. Yeah.
East Metro State Patrol patch for LTAC 148. Female driver that pointed a firearm at the trooper and then left in the area of Hamlin and 94.
Metro, what was the plate?
Edward Sam Lincoln 984 for 2010 Honda Accord white in color.
Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Officers caught up with Hansen minutes later at the Pascal Street Bridge over I-94. She was found to be completely outside of the fence, although she was over a slanted and grassy embankment, which posed little risk of injury. She was also still drinking from a bottle of tequila and grabbing at the handgun tucked in her waistband. Later, it is discovered that the handgun was in fact a replica, fashioned from foil and duct tape. SWAT arrived and lowered her down onto I-94. Though she could have easily been shot by the trooper, she ultimately received probation. As part of a plea deal, her charge of drunk driving was dismissed, along with her charge of fleeing police. She was not convicted in this matter, and instead received a stay of adjudication for making a threat of violence, and is currently on probation for this case according to court records. Lieutenant Frankfurt has previously appeared in YouTube videos.
So you don't have a license at all?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. That's just showing you what that officer did in the past, what she was, how she was known for. But that's you know, that's one. Let me ask our viewers: 70-year-old woman, you stop her. Maybe she's DUI. Maybe she's just elderly and maybe confused. Driving actions are bizarre. Before letting them know that she has a warrant, what would our viewers do at that point? Would you stop her? Would you even stop her? You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. I mean, she's obviously was in the work zone, driving outside the traffic patterns. I mean, and she's incoherent. And so my biggest problem is letting her get back inside the vehicle. And once she started refusing to get in her vehicle, that's when to me that's another little red flag. Not a major red flag, but it's a red flag.
Definitely
right?
a red flag.
Why don't you want to get inside my vehicle and you want to go? You want to. Well, let me just shut my door. Let me shut my door. No. When you start hearing things like that, to me, red flags are coming off. So, I don't know if they also, we can sit here and Monday morning quarterback this to now until our Lord and Savior comes back. But was she not 70 years old? Why couldn't you not get that lady out of the car? Why was she able to get back in the vehicle?
And Delando said, what if she was drunk or under the influence? Yeah, that's true. So you definitely had to stop her. I agree with you, Corey.
Yeah,
You
she
can't let her
definitely
get
needs to
back in
be
the car. Once you got her that far out of the car, you can't let her get back in that car. Now,
no.
I think that the officer was trying to physically pull her from getting in that car. She just wasn't strong enough. The 70-year-old lady was stronger than her at that moment and was able to force herself back into the car. It just goes to show you, just because you 70 don't mean you frail and out of shape and can't do nothing and ain't strong. You know what I'm saying? This was a female. Now, granted, this was a female officer. Maybe the strength level was not, it just wasn't equal. You know what I'm saying? And that 70-year-old was able to muscle her way back into that car. Now,
Yeah.
Again, like I said before, a lot of the viewers may not have caught that in the beginning of the video that she actually had a warrant.
Yeah,
So
she had a warrant. I mean, and you can't never. That's why I say you can't never assume that all traffic stops are going to be, per textbook and everybody's going to be in compliance when we just know that's just not the case.
Right.
And no matter how old they are, you always have to be on your guard as law enforcement, because a 70-year-old woman can be just as feisty as a 20-something-year-old. You know, the question then being, well, if she was black, Mike, she would have got shot, wouldn't she?
Well, that's what some people will say. You know what I'm saying? But you just can't lump every situation in with a racial component. You just can't do that.
You can't do it.
I think this woman quickly, well, she assumed it was a gun, obviously, and I would have too. You know what I'm saying? But she quickly, instead of drawing her weapon and firing, which if she did that at that moment, she would have been within her lawful right to do so. That would have been a reasonable response. Somebody points a gun at me. If I, assuming I got time to do so, I'm breaking leather, I'm pulling my gun, and I'm shooting you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to wait for you to shoot me. But instead, Corey, she moved out of the way of the line of fire. At least what she thought was out of the line of fire. I think it happened so fast that she didn't have time to respond by drawing her weapon. That's how I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think she might have not had enough time, or it happened so fast she just didn't react. I'm borderline saying, obviously, yeah, she should be scared. You're always scared when the situation escalates like that, but you gotta keep that combat mind frame, if you will, and rely on that muscle memory. But my mom asked, why didn't she get a ticket for drunk driving? I don't know, Mom. It's just that court system. She obviously pled to the plea deal, so part of the plea deal, she pled guilty on one part, and they dismissed the drinking and driving.
That's a good question. Mr. Taylor, I think she was arrested for DUI.
She was arrested, but she just didn't get convicted.
She just wasn't convicted. And understand, folks, when we arrest people, that case then goes to the district attorney's office, or whatever you call it in your neck of the woods. It goes to the court. A lot of things can happen in court. Just because you aren't charged with something doesn't necessarily mean you're not guilty of it. It just means that that's part of the deal that they offered you, that say, hey, you plead to this and we'll let this go. There's a lot of wheeling and dealing like that goes on in the court system that I think a lot of citizens don't understand. And that's got nothing to do with the police department.
Right.
If I arrest you for DUI, I'm going to arrest you for DUI, whether the DA charges it or not. If I think you're DUI, I'm gonna arrest you for DUI.
And I always remember when you're arrested, you're charged with something. You're not being convicted of anything.
Right.
And
the DA may even decide when it gets there. They may even decide we don't have time for this, or we don't have enough, or we're not going to charge this because we got some other more pressing things to do on this. You know, there could be a lot of reasons how the district attorney manages their caseloads. You know what I'm saying?
And precedent said, yeah, she would have been in handcuffs the moment I found out she had a warrant.
Yeah.
Again, everybody's policy is different. Correct. Yeah, you know how we
were.
Once I got word that you had an active warrant, I would have detained you. Remember, you're not under arrest just because I find out you have a warrant. You're detained until I verify that warrant is still active. Once I verified that the warrant is still active, now I'm going to place you under arrest. Go ahead, Mike.
No, that's a good point, Press. Yeah, I would have. Once I knew she had a warrant, I too would have handcuffed her. Why do you think this officer didn't do that? Instead, this officer tried to say, I need you to sit in the back of my car because something came up with your plate. She didn't want to tell the lady right out the gate that she had a warrant, and she didn't want to handcuff the lady right out the bat. Do you think it's because the lady was 70 years old? She was an older woman, and she probably let her guard down and said, let me just let you sit in the back of my car. Uncuffed, by the way, you know, and just why you think that is?
Yeah, I think that could have been a part of it too. You know, she really underestimated her.
Yeah.
Because of her age, right? And it's like, oh yeah, she's elder woman. Yeah, she's not gonna be a threat. She's, you know, a grandmother, if you will. I don't know if she really is, but just being of her age, 70 years old, yeah, she's not gonna be. We're always gonna assume that she's not gonna be a threat. But yeah, it was once, and that's the thing. No matter if you know your age or whatever, once you find out someone has that active warrant, everybody, the cop is going to put you in handcuffs until they can figure out if this warrant or not is valid. Now, that doesn't mean, you know, blow a gasket and start getting mouthy. Even if you believe in your heart that, you know, that warrant is not good, or you may be under the impression that, you know, oh, my attorney said they took care of it, blah, blah, blah. Hey,
yeah,
just figure it out. You may even have to go downtown to the precinct. Just go through the motion, get it cleared up, and just be done. That doesn't mean to blow a gasket and then put yourself in a situation where you're taking on more charges. You know, you don't want to do that.
And understand.
Yeah, and I think she was being too nice, Ma.
Yeah, I think so. I think
she was.
Understand though, as an officer, once they come on that radio and say that you have a warrant, I'm going to handcuff you regardless whether you think the warrant is valid or not. I'm still going to handcuff you for safety reasons, if anything like that, if anything, because I don't want you to feel like you can fight me or you can run or whatever goes on because you believe that warrant is not valid. I am going to go off of what the radio tells me, the dispatcher tells me, okay? And I'm going to cuff you anyway. Yeah, I'm going to verify that warrant is valid or not, okay? And if it is, one of two things could happen. Depends on the kind of warrant and depends on what the warrant says. I can either arrest you in the jail, book you in the jail, or I can write you a ticket and release you at the scene with a court date, okay? Depends on what kind of warrant it is. But if you get handcuffed, you just go with the program. Don't cause a fight. Don't blow a gasket, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, because it's an emotional thing, and I get it, man. You know, and a lot of times, you know, officers going to be like, man, you know, hey, I feel you, man, but I have to go with the screen is telling me. with dispatches. That's why we had to verify that it's still an active warrant. But you know, she could. Do you think this was a suicide by cop type thing?
I was gonna hit that area, because my question to you would be, why would a 70-year-old woman? Well, first of all, she was drinking, because when they found her, she was still drinking from a bottle of tequila, right? So why would she be walking around with a replica firearm? Why would she point it at an officer? Was she intentionally trying to commit suicide? Well, obviously, if she was on the fence when they finally caught up to her, even though where she would have fallen, it was just a grassy berm, so she wouldn't have died or anything. But the point is, in her mind, is you're probably right, Corey. She was probably trying to commit suicide.
Yeah. I think so. And could that have been part of the reason why she got off on some of these charges? I don't know. We weren't there in the courtroom, but it could have. And this is the kind of things you, as an officer, they have to be cautious of when they make contact with a citizen like this, because you don't know what type of mindset this lady was in. Now, glad it ended in the way that it did, and glad she didn't get seriously hurt out of this. But you know, it's one of those things, like how a so-called simple traffic stop can go sideways at a drop of a dime. And that's, again, you always hear me say, I get so frustrated when I hear, you know, news media always say, "Whoa, officer involved in a routine traffic stop. Please tell me what is routine."
Yeah.
And me just making it home every night would be a routine, but then that can possibly not be routine, because something can, you know, take you past your time to get off shift. So in this profession, y'all, there's nothing routine, because anything can change at the drop of a dime.
Yeah. So when an officer pulls somebody over, we're never thinking, "Oh, this could never happen to me." You just don't know. I remember I had a lady that was, if I remember, she was over 70 years old. She did have a warrant, to the point where I had to book her in jail, and I wouldn't have thought that this woman would have been rolling around. She had a warrant for identity theft, and she was over 70 years old, and I had to book her in jail off of a simple traffic stop. You know, so you just never know. Officers meet those kinds of incidents every day when they do traffic stops, because you never know. You can't assume that someone is just not going to hurt you, or you can't assume that someone's going to just go with the program.
Right now, you can never assume that, but it happens all the time, these types of things. And I mean, just because we're older and getting into your golden years doesn't mean that, you know, you're not going to go out here and do anything to break the law and hurt somebody. I mean, there's no age limit on these types of things when your criminal activity stops. You just hope that in some point in your life we just mature and we don't, you know, do these things, or as an older adult, you know how to process things and handle things in a mature way. But just go to show we're all flawed. We all are human. We make mistakes, and obviously this grandmother was going through things in her life which caused her to consume alcohol. She let the alcohol get the best of her. At that point, you know, she, in her eyes, she might have been, you know, at the lowest point in her life for whatever reason. Could have got some bad news, but you know, as a law enforcement, you never know what some type of person is going through in their lives when we make contact with them. That's why we gotta, you know, you have to, being in law enforcement, I always will believe, Mike, it takes a special type of person to do this. I mean, it really does. Because she had used different tactics to handle this lady. Well, I mean, one, never underestimate anybody just because of their age. Two, you remember your training and go ahead and put handcuffs on once you knew that there was an active warrant out.
Yeah, I wouldn't have tried to sit her in the back of my car without at least handcuffing her first. I would have been, you know what? I would have been straight up with her. I ran your plate. Are you such and such or whatever her name was? Yeah. Well, it sounds like you have a warrant, so I need to confirm that. Meanwhile, I can't let you get back in the car, and I'm putting these cuffs on you. You know what I'm saying? I would have been just like that. Yeah. Sometimes telling people up front they have a warrant can be a risk, because if they're the wrong person,
they're gonna
just
take
by
off.
you saying they got a warrant, they might be willing to fight or something, or they might
Fight
be willing
and take
to run.
off running.
Yeah. So
And,
I do understand that aspect too. But you can, like you said, you can never take it for granted. You can't take any stop for granted. And just because someone is having a bad day or going through some things, we understand that. As an officer, I understand you might be at a low point right now, but understand I have to make sure I'm safe, and so I can get home every day to my family. You know what I'm saying? So just because you are at the lowest point in your life, yeah, I can understand that, but I need you to turn around and put your hands behind your back. You know what I'm saying? Or I need you to sit here. Those things are basic officer safety stuff that you can't compromise as an officer. Yeah, I understand you're going through some things right now. Let me get this safe and let me get this executed first, and then maybe we could talk about what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe we can find some resources that can help you in dealing with what you're going through.
Yeah. And, go back to an earlier comment. My mom was saying that, it shouldn't matter what the color of somebody's skin is. She simply could have, caused a really bad accident and hurt and kill somebody. And that's true. But the way society is now, I mean, you especially dealing with law enforcement, when a black person gets killed here in some similar situation, was still two different situations, two different sets of officers, different type of citizen. You and I are both black, but I guarantee you there are a lot of situations we could put ourselves through. You're going to react different than I am, right?
Which brings up the comment that Jesus loves you makes. He says, do y'all think a male cop would have reacted differently by putting the woman in cuffs upon finding out she had a warrant? That's a good question. I mean, that's a question of, would a man react? Forget about being a cop. Would a man react differently than a woman in that type of situation?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it's possible. But you know what? Another woman could act differently than that woman did too. You see, that's how you say that. I mean, some men, there might be a man that would draw down and shoot this woman. You know what I'm saying? In that instance where he saw that gun pointed at him, his instinct might have been to draw his weapon and shoot. It could have been a lot uglier. Or maybe he was in the position to move out of the line of fire real quick and hesitated. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what we mean, Corey. A situation like this, you can't really Monday morning quarterback and say, you should have went left when you went right or something, because everybody is different, and you don't really know how you would react in that moment at that split second.
And that's why you got to leave the race
That's
part
a good question,
out of it. Right. It's a great question, Jesus love you, because that's why you have to leave the race part out of it, because everybody's going to react differently. Right. I may have shot in there. Yeah. And then what would the reaction be? Right. So you have to leave it out of there. You have to look at the character of that officer and their mindset and what were they thinking. Maybe she saw that woman as, hey, reminder of her mom or something like that. Is she going to shoot? You know what I mean? You don't know.
That's
right?
basic human reaction right there.
Basic human reaction, right? And so, to say that a guy would have handled it differently, we don't know. Guys look at, hey, that's man, I would have snatched her out of the car and threw her down. Probably not, right? But would I have been more forceful with her? Yeah, to have control and got her hand. Yeah.
But then if she was pulling away from me trying to get back into that car,
well, yeah, you're gonna use the right amount of force.
Yeah, I would definitely have more force. But I think that female officer simply wasn't strong enough to keep her from getting back in that car.
And that very well could have been. I mean, she probably saw the replica of the gun there, and she panicked a little bit and didn't want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she just backed off at the last minute. Once she realized it was a gun in there, she was going to get it. So I can get that. So to say she wasn't strong enough, I'd probably be a little on, maybe not. Maybe she's seen it, got a little, hey, let me back off. I ain't trying to get shot, and try to get out the line of fire. But then, at that point, would she have been justified to shoot through the back window? Maybe she was thinking about that. You know what I mean? Could she get shot through the back window?
Like you say, it's easy for us to sit here in the calm and comforts of our sofa.
That's right.
With endless time on our hands to think of, would we have done this or would we have done that? But if you put yourself in that officer's shoes at that moment, I guarantee you it's going to be a whole lot of different answers right there. Yeah, Corey, would she have been justified to shoot through that back window? That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it depends. I mean, it depends on what she saw, how she saw it, and how she felt threatened by it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what it boils down to. It's not as simple as to say, well, she's in the back window. She shot her from the back window, assuming she did that. It's not that simple at all. So,
Yeah. And Delano, it's easy for one to pull the race card until they have to make a real-time decision.
Yes.
Good point. Good point, Delano. Good point. And we want to thank Delano. He sent us this video to break down. So thank you, Delano. Appreciate that. But yeah, until you're in that situation, you're not thinking that.
No, you ain't thinking nothing about that. You're thinking about your perception of the danger, the level of danger that you are facing at that moment, at that time. That's what you're thinking about. That's what I would be thinking about as an officer.
Yeah.
I ain't thinking nothing about race. I really ain't even thinking about age, because I have to address the danger part above all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get shot, because if I get shot, will it really matter what age she was? No. Will it really matter if she was a female? No. If I get shot, I can die too. You know what I'm saying? So I can't let that happen.
That's right. So I mean, it's one of the ones you're glad it ended the way it did. But you as an officer, I tell you don't want to be put in those situations like that, where you got to, to think that, officers wake up every day and just think about, gunning people down. Now, I can tell you, that thought never crossed my mind. How about you, Mike?
No, of course not. You know what I'm saying? What 90% of officers go through their whole career without ever pulling the trigger, on shooting someone.
Shooting someone. Yeah.
So,
and you're glad to be in that 90%.
I am part of that 90%. I'm glad.
That's right. Definitely. That's right. Now, have pulled the weapon out.
You won't do that. You won't do that.
Do that.
You know what I'm saying? But to pull that trigger, I'm lucky to not have ever been in a situation where I actually had to shoot.
Blessed to never had to have done that.
So let me ask our viewers, what would you have done? Would you have shot her? Would you have let her go? Would you have jumped out of the way? Would you have let her get back in that car? If so, why? Just curious. One of the reasons why we do this show is we wanted to give people an idea of what an officer might be thinking, in a given situation. and whether or not it's reasonable for them to do whatever they did.
Right.
And we try to keep, as we said before, Corey, we try to keep race out of it because the race doesn't have any factor into the decision that I'm making in that particular circumstance. So
Right.
it just depends.
Right.
You know.
So we're talking about a grandmother in Minnesota, right?
Minnesota.
Who was involved in a traffic accident, or not traffic accident, but a traffic infraction, driving through a construction site and runs from the police and pulls a gun out on the police, which would end up being a replica. But it ended well, just like glad she didn't get hurt. But Jesus love you said, I would not let her get back into the car. Nope, I wouldn't let her get back in the car either. Especially once you know that they have an active warrant out. You never want to let them get back into the vehicle because you don't know what's inside the vehicle. And two, they may take off on you and run, and now you're in a pursuit, and so you don't want that.
Now, don't confuse that with I do a traffic stop and I walk up to your vehicle and I tell you I need you to stay in the vehicle. Don't confuse it with that, because that's a different situation where tactically it's safer and better for me and you for you to stay in the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? Until I decide to remove you, if I decide to remove you. Okay. So keep that in mind. And always remember, because I still see videos of an issue where people are refusing to get out of the car. You know what I'm saying? You have to get out. If the officer tells you to get out of the car, you got to get out of the car. If they tell you to stay in the car, you got to stay in the car. If you're a passenger in the car, if they tell you to get out of the car, you have to get out of the car. If they tell you to stay in the car, you have to stay in the car. Okay? You're at the mercy of that officer on a traffic stop, whether you are a driver or a passenger.
Now, when it comes to the acronym of CALM, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on, that kind of goes out the window, especially when you're under influence of alcohol or drugs or something like that. I mean, you're not going to be in the right frame of mind to know, oh, I need to listen. You're always going to be 90% of the drunks that I've dealt with were always not so much combative, but they were very verbal in their language, and not wanting to listen and follow commands. You had to be pretty stern with them and trying to get them to comply with you. So does the acronym CALM work in every situation? No. It's really going to be on that individual and their mindset, what their mindset is at that time, and whether or not they're under the influence of something. But for the most part,
your mind ain't right.
right. But for the most part, if you're just that everyday citizen driving, you just so happen to get stopped because of, a busted taillight or whatever, and you get that officer and you do those things, you're complying, you're answering questions, you're listening, hey, you get that ticket, or hey, you have a warrant for your arrest. That still is not the time to get mouthy and lippy or whatever. Mistaken identities happen all the time. You get the birthday wrong. I mean,
administrative stuff goes wrong. I've had it where they had the warrant in the system and they just haven't taken it out.
They haven't taken it out. Yep, I had plenty of those.
So
plenty of those.
Right.
And yeah, it's definitely an inconvenience that. And then, they want to try to hit you with lawsuits and things like that. Well, you're not suing me. You'd rather go after your attorney who should have made sure that this stuff was taken care of. And whoever the agency that took the warrants out didn't clear the warrants out the system. But yeah, it's definitely an inconvenience. It's probably going, you may miss a day at work, but at least at the end of the day, you're able to get it cleared out the system, ensure it's out the system, and move on with your life. You're not.
Jesus loves you makes a good, first. Delano makes a good comment. He would have hesitated once he saw the gun. He would not. Or what is it? Let me see it. Okay, I don't know if I would have hesitated once I saw the gun, not knowing it was a replica. True, you don't know. Just because it ended up being a replica, you have to assume it's a real gun that's an officer on the street.
Well, look at all the shootings over the years that we've seen, and particularly the young boy in Cleveland a few years ago.
Mm.
When they got the call saying, "Hey, it was a black kid in the park with a gun, waving the gun around," and cop gets there immediately, gets out car and shoots the young boy. It turned out to be a replica or a BB gun or something like that. So we don't know what they are. And I don't have time to sit and add, hey, is that real?
Well, since you brought up that incident in Cleveland, the only problem I had with that was I think the officer he drove right up. Now, the way I understand, I know we're getting off the topic here a little bit, but he drove right up to the kid, jumped right out and shot. He didn't even give him time to hear any commands or anything. That was the only problem I had with that. He didn't give him time to, he didn't, I mean, the kid may not even realize what was going on because it happened so fast. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's no way.
I would have driven, me personally, I would have driven up to where I could see the kid. I would have jumped out of the car and start giving commands first. I wouldn't have just drove up, got out of the car, and started shooting. But then again, you know, again, we Monday morning quarterbacking, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off track.
Yeah. Yeah, you're good. You're good. But Jesus said he would not have hesitated as soon as he saw her go in her purse, pop, pop, pop.
That's a good comment. That's a good comment.
Yeah, I mean, and would you have been wrong if you would have done that? Probably not. I mean, long you can articulate, and then when you see it, I mean, you can only at that point assume that it was real. And by her not listening to your commands and getting back in it, you could only still assume that she was going to retrieve something out of there because she wasn't going to get her license and she wasn't going to get a registration. So,
right,
what are you going back in the car for? So
that's why at
that point you would have to have shot. I wouldn't have been mad at either way, honestly, in this situation if you had shot or not.
But I think the average citizen would look at that as, well, you didn't see a gun. You know, again, we talked about this before, Corey. I don't have to wait for you to pull a gun out on me. If I can justify that I believe you going for a gun, I'm going to shoot you.
You're making those types of gestures. You're making those. You're giving all types of signs and motions indicating that you have something on you, like you're getting ready to do something because you're getting very agitated. Well, you know, dude, why can't you keep your hands out your pockets? Keep your hands out your pocket. And you can go find out, you know, they got a little small 22 in there or something, or a small 38 in their pants pocket, and you know, going to shoot you. So yeah, in this case here, you know, she's lucky she got this lady.
And I think Jesus loved you. I think you would have been justified in that situation, just as we explained it. She was fighting you, trying to get back in the car. Well, she wasn't forcefully trying to get back in the car, like
she was totally resisting
get her license. Okay, right. So it's safe to say, if you forcing your way to get back into that car, as desperate as you were, you trying to get to a weapon or something. I don't have to wait for you to draw that weapon and shoot me before I decide to use deadly force against you first. Okay. Yeah. And just so happens in this situation, that's exactly what she was doing. She pulled out because she pulled out a gun, replica or not. She pulled out a gun when she got back in that car.
Yeah, I mean, she still pulled it out, and it appeared to the officer that it looked like a gun. I mean, she's yelling, "Gun, gun, gun!" That's why she took off running. Yeah. So, I mean, if she still had shot, even if she shot from the back, I mean, can that person in the driver's seat still be a threat to you in the driver's seat and you're behind in the back? Yeah, they can take a gun and boom, boom, boom out the back window. So would you have been wrong to shot through the back window and take her down in the driver's seat? Nope, because she still could have been a threat. You got a gun, you ain't got to be looking at me to shoot me. All
That's
you
true.
got to do is point it in that direction.
But the way things are going today, Corey, when you go to court, you'll have to go to court. You'll have to articulate and justify why you did what you did, and hopefully a jury will agree with you. Because
Yeah,
that ain't always
that's
the
the hope.
case.
That's the hope. That's the hope. You can get the jury to go along with your story and believe that, hey, I think you could articulate yourself in this if you had to. I think you could. So that's what it is. It ended out well. We're glad it ended out the right way. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, y'all, for tonight. Great discussion, great comments. We thank you all for joining us tonight. As always, again, if you're new to the channel, this is the first time checking us out, leave a comment down below. Let us know how you like this content in this video. Also, share it out, please. Share it out to everybody in your timeline, and let us get out there and get more viewership. We're at 249 subscribers now. Love to get to 300 by the end of the year. So help us out so that we can get there to 300. Mike, final words, my brother.
Appreciate you guys joining us. Jesus loves you. Delando, Mrs. Taylor, Stacy. I see you guys on here. Appreciate Pressed. Well, let's see. Let me look at more. Preston, yeah, I got that one. I'm scrolling up to see all the names on here. So thanks for joining us, everybody. You guys have a good show, a good weekend, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
Yep. As always, stay calm, comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. All right. So y'all be blessed. We'll see you next week. If you got something you like for us to check out, please hit us up over on Facebook and message us, and we'll get it on the show. Again, we love you all. We thank you all for all your support, and God bless and good night.
Good night.